Well, hello and welcome to the J's episode 4 of the Cultural Arts Corner podcast. I'm John Wilson, Director of Cultural Arts, and as usual, we are coming to you from the opulent podcast studios at Cobalt Communications here in Fenton, Missouri. Now, I have the distinct pleasure today of sitting down with Hannah Dinkel. She is the Director of Literary Arts at the Jewish Community Center and is responsible for everything Jewish Book Festival related. So, Hannah, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, John.
All right, so I'm going to stick with book terminology, and I'm going to ask you to tell me, a condensed version of one of the chapters in your autobiography, and let me know how you came to be on the path that brought you ultimately to the J and to this role.
Okay. So I am here because I love stories. And when it comes down to it, I love a good story. And to that end, the power of languages and all that we can do with them and impact one another is something really amazing to me. And since I was young, I could not get my hands on enough stories, fairy tales, and I landed on Tolkien as a bored middle schooler one summer. My mother recommended that I read this series that she had on the shelves, and I wasn't really excited by it until I found that my two loves were in one place, languages and a really, really great story. So my love of literature started young. I also have interests in the sciences and how the world works around us. So my academic career actually started in the sciences with a degree in chemistry and studying immunology and HIV in chimpanzees for some time.
Wow.
And but science explains the world around us, but the humanities really is what makes life worth living for me. So I came back to it many years later when I found myself living in St. Louis with my family. Work brought us here, and I thought, oh, WashU, they have great German there, and I'm a heritage speaker of German, so that was kind of a natural path for me to take even into literature. And there, my interest just really flourished, and that includes engaging with Jewish topics in literature, not just in the German Jewish world, but in Old Yiddish. I eventually kind of landed on medieval as my area of, research, to write my thesis on. And I stayed at WashU after I graduated. That just wasn't fulfilling. Academia is a comfortable place for me, but I never had really engaged in a meaningful way with the flourishing, thriving, living community, and around me, and instead, engaged with topics in a very sterile setting, in a classroom and books, and that's very valuable. But I found myself wishing to engage and support the St. Louis Jewish community as it lives and breathes, and so I looked for opportunities at the J, and I'm so thankful that this opportunity was there, because not only does it kind of fulfill my wish to support the Jewish community, amplify Jewish voices, but it also is in an area that I love and I think is very important, is reading literacy, checking out new authors. So I feel very fortunate to have landed where I landed.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And I think you told me at some point, or maybe I heard this from Rabbi Brad, but when you talk about the languages that you speak, I think you know a fair amount of either Hebrew or like all of Yiddish, correct? Is that right?
Yes. So I came to Hebrew second, which is kind of a strange path to take. I grew up in a very secular home, and so Hebrew wasn't really an important language or topic, to be able to have any sort of competency in. But I actually came to Yiddish through studying Middle High German, because I realized, oh, wait a minute, Yiddish is sprouted out of Middle High German, the German that was spoken in the Middle Ages. And so that was kind of my COVID project, was gaining fluency in Yiddish. And I took classes at YIVO, which is an amazing Yiddish institute in New York that I relocated from Vilna, actually before the war. So they have not only amazing archives for academics and, genealogists, people wanting to, look into their own family histories, but also classes. And I started taking classes and I just couldn't stop. And now Yiddish is, I think, my number one language love. Yeah.
That is so neat. I know that anytime that you and I are discussing, having a discussion, you'll drop a word. And I won't know if it's Yiddish or Hebrew, but you'll drop a word and then you'll translate for me. And I always find that a really fun part of our conversations. Well, let's jump into the Jewish Book Festival and your role, and we'll talk about a number of things, because this is an annual festival that happens in November, and then you also are curating the used book sale, which is semi-annual, and then we have all these different book events and partnerships that are being created throughout the year. But just go ahead and start for me with the November annual Jewish Book Festival, and tell me just some of the processes that you go through in working with the committee, choosing and pursuing authors and format, and just freestyle, and just tell me how all of this works.
Sure. So you got it right with mentioning the committee. This very much takes a village to build this event.
Absolutely.
I literally cannot neither plan or execute the event myself. So the St. Louis Jewish Book Festival is in its 45th year this year. It is one of the largest book festivals of its type in America, actually. And it's kind of a prime example of how Midwestern Jewry is really special and differs from from the coastal communities, where you're just kind of naturally immersed in Judaism, whether or not you're Jewish. But here, you really have to create those opportunities. So being one of the largest of its kind, we have probably usually 30 to 40 authors that come through our doors during the core festival, which, as you said, takes place every November. This year it takes place November 4th to 20th. We don't necessarily want to have programming every single day, but this just gives us flexibility with author schedules, and their book tours. And also it gives our audience, a chance to not get burned out and still be excited about, engaging with all of these authors. So we're still really early in the planning process. The committee that I have to support me is massive. And these people are amazing. And whether or not they are still engaged with their fields of work, they very much come from fields. They're helpers. They are problem solvers. And they're doers. And I have even a lot of new committee members that have brand new, really exciting competencies that I'm really excited to, get some, feedback on them from. We have a lot of panels that we're, planning this year, which is where audiences get a chance to engage with more than one author in an event. And that's a lot of bang for your buck that, you get to listen to, the perspectives and themes in two different books instead of one. So the planning starts very early. Right now we're in the author selection mode. We have some really, really exciting big named authors that we've actually been able to lock in already. And, basically it's just going to get closer and closer to the actual execution from there. And, the committee is broken up into many different subcommittees that supports the various items, that need to happen during the execution of the festival. And this is new to me since I came in August when the festival was already planned by Rabbi Brad. So this part is new and exciting.
Yeah. So I know some of these names that are potentially coming. Are they all officially top secret? Is there anyone that you can reveal as of yet? It's okay if you can't, but I'm just curious if there's anyone locked in that you feel comfortable mentioning.
I probably shouldn't, because that's actually an honor that I like to say for the committee,
Oh,
because
very good.
they contribute so much to this, and also sometimes even we utilize their individual connections to get to these people. So I will say there's a couple really big time celebrities that have memoirs coming out. So anyone can do some Googling, try and make their best bets. But it's kind of a year of memoirs, going over these really esteemed careers of these celebrities in various facets of entertainment.
So, and when you say celebrities, these would be household names. These would be people that we would
Absolutely
recognize.
household names that, I mean,
Coming here to St. Louis.
Yes, I mean that I'm getting fangirled, even just imagining getting to interact with them in the green room. So yes, these are celebrities. Yeah.
That's wonderful. You also mentioned, Hannah, it's in its 45th year. So you came to this with a huge tradition that had already been established. And like you said, it's a bit higher profile than many others in the country. It's got a national reputation. Was that intimidating to you? Did that excite you? Was that like, I'm going to grab this challenge and face it full on? Or was there a little bit of nervousness coming into such an important role?
No, I was just so excited, and I knew from the very first time that I interacted with the committee that I was very much going to be learning from them for some time, and I was just so excited to hit the ground running. And I'm someone that if I'm not learning, then I feel like I'm not living. And so I'm also getting this amazing opportunity to be previewing books for potential authors. And coming from a medieval background, interacting with authors or, really taking any stock in what an author has to say about their work is a really novel concept for me, because obviously anyone that I dealt with was either an anonymous person or a monk that had, written down a translation of something. The authors didn't really play a huge part in most cases. And so I love that. That's been a really new challenge to me, to be involving the authors in their narrative surrounding their books. And it is challenging, but it's a really fulfilling and exciting one at the same time.
Well, and also you also are an avid reader. So this has got to be feeding that penchant for books as well, because you want to be able to read as many of the choices that the committee is considering. Yes. And having just kind of a more personal knowledge of what's out there. So how many books do you think you have to be going through in order to curate the November festival?
So, we really should be reviewing every single book, that we're going to feature. And that actually caused me to create a new subcommittee of the Jewish Book Festival Committee, which is a book review committee. Not only do I just not have the time as a mother of young children with a home to manage and, all of my responsibilities outside of work, to review each of these books in the way that they really should be reviewed. But it also gives my, my community, my village, a chance to, to weigh in on the books also. So I rely on them, but, I would say we will probably end up looking through somewhere around 50 books or so. I already have a stack of about a dozen. I've managed to read 3 or 4 of them so far. But what I'm going to rely on my committee that I know they will deliver on is to give me the honest criticism, because I've really expanded my horizons and what I enjoy reading as a result of this position. And I basically like everything that I've read so far. So this is going to be a very tough choice.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for that overview. Let's switch gears and talk about a whole different responsibility that you have, which is the used book sale, which happens semi-annually. You just completed one. We had the winter used book sale. And so maybe tell me a little bit about just what that is, your responsibility for it, and as an event, the kind of success that the winter one had, and what makes it so successful. So just tell me about used book sale.
Sure. So the used book sale is a twice annual sale that takes place in the wintertime and then in the summertime, like kind of like, late summer before kiddos are going back to school. So this has been a used book sale that the J has organized for over 25 years now. And as a result, we are kind of known as a dropping place around town for books. So there's never any shortage of books for us to put out to sell. We take donations of literally everything, basically besides encyclopedias and textbooks, just because those just don't really historically sell. But we just are inundated with donations literally every day, Monday through Friday.
That's a fact. I've seen. I see the
Yes.
boxes get dropped off. What kind of a number do you think that we actually have when it comes to everything's been collected, unboxed, and is sitting out on all the tables? Like, how many do you think we have?
So for the winter book sale, it was about 600 boxes of books.
Wow.
And that's another village that I have rallying behind me. I have book sorters that go into our rented space across from the J and Jewish Family Services in their basement and sort the books by topic. And they also make sure that the books are in sellable condition. And if not, we actually recycle them. So the winter sale, though, I'd like to mention was actually literally half the size of the summer sale. When I was brand new to this position, we had over 1,000 boxes of books.
Oh my gosh.
So we just had books coming out of our pores. But they sold well and they disappear again because not only is this entire setup, we're known as a book drop, but also we're known for the sale. We're one of the best used book sales around. And, avid readers and then even dealers and collectors alike know that.
Yeah, that's something that my first used book sale was just this past one in the winter. Yeah. And I think that we were giving out numbers for people to stand in line. It was like people were coming to a concert of or something. I think we gave out over 100 numbers for people to line up even before the doors opened, and that started happening an hour before doors even opened for the used book sale. So this obviously garners a lot of attention from local buyers and sellers, and then I think there's also even a whole used book sale niche community of collectors, even individual people who want to come in and get a great deal. So give me, I don't know, just an anecdotal overview of some of the types of books that end up getting donated for the used book sale.
Sure. So, we get a lot of literal estates from, local professors, for example. We had an author that was local to St. Louis who actually passed away back in the mid-90s. His wife passed away. And so we ended up with all of his leftover books from his publisher. We received a large amount of the Edison miniature book collection, which is actually an internationally known miniature book collection that was held by a man in St. Louis. And that turned into a huge project. One of my amazing dedicated volunteers took months out of her life to catalog what we had because we knew that this was something special and we should take the time to price some of these things. Cataloged everything. It got a lot of attention from even out-of-state buyers, and a bookseller actually in Colorado drove all the way out here to buy that miniature book collection.
And that's a real coup. I mean, that's really something.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I didn't think that I would be gaining expertise in book dealing or being able to guess the value, or give value to some of these older books, or to say that it's a pretty book but it's really not worth much. But I've really enjoyed learning the ins and outs of what book dealers are looking for and what sells.
Yeah, that is only a skill that's going to come to you from experience, just from jumping in and doing that work. Okay, so if that's not enough, you've got the annual November big Jewish book festival, bringing in all sorts of authors and putting on all these different events that are happening over the weekend and during the weekday and at nighttime. And then you've got this used book sale that's happening, which is a huge event that lasts for 5 days in the winter and then summertime. And then you have what's been described to me as these bookend events where you are partnering with either organizations or libraries in order to bring other authors in kind of some standalone events that happen throughout the year. So can you just tell me a little bit about what it is what a bookend event is, how often or how many you think JBF ends up fostering in a calendar year, and then if you can, and again, some of this might be top secret, but if you can mention one that's coming up, if that's okay to do, great. If not, we'll skirt that. But yeah, let's talk bookend events.
Sure. So, bookends were originally imagined as an opportunity to have events year round with the Jewish Book Festival name on it, that, either just gets, the audience engaged year round because they have a hunger for these programs besides during the festival in November, but also to try and kind of give authors the opportunity, give them some more flexibility, with their touring schedules. And so we aren't doing as many as I'd like. I have some big dreams for that, and we can talk about the big dreams a little bit later. But right now we have a wonderful partnership with the St. Louis County Library. Their parent branch is still basically in rubble. It's being completely rebuilt, remodeled. So they are hosting their author events at various locations in the St. Louis metropolitan area, and they bring a lot of their authors to the J. We just had Brad Meltzer here. That was like standing room only in the back. We've got another ticketed event coming up in July with them. We host events. I mean, basically any author in any topic you can imagine. It's a lot of fun. I start sitting and listening to these programs and think, I get to do this for a living. This is so amazing. So that's one of our partnerships, and we have a couple. I should not name the celebrities, but we
more
also
celebrities. That's great.
Literal celebrities. I can mention who's bringing them though. We are working with Left Bank Books and The Novel Neighbor, two amazing independent booksellers in St. Louis, on some really large author events that they are bringing in. So that's super exciting. And we also have a new committee member that basically spent her entire career with Scholastic, and she is really, really engaged and wanting to get some family programming for kiddos, young adults, teens. She knows basically every author ever in this age group, and I am so excited for that because that's been something kind of missing. Is that we want to create opportunities and enrich the lives of all ages, and so I'm so excited to start working on that also.
Well, that's a pretty all-encompassing journey with your job. The used book sale, the major November event, all these different bookend events that are squeezed in between, and you seem like genuinely delighted, like you really, really love what you do, and I think it's a real testament. I think your love for what you do really comes through. Every time I've had any kind of interface with you during the events, you are on point and you are like present with everyone that's in the room at the event, and it really seems to be extremely genuine that you are really enjoying yourself. As we wrap this up, you mentioned some hopes, some dreams, some larger ambitions that you might be thinking about as JBF continues to establish itself, nearing its 50 years. So what are some of those thoughts?
So, first of all is, to retain the prestige and excellence and reputation, that the festival has. I take that very seriously. and the quality of authors that we're able to get in, and the quality of their programs, engagement with the audience, the audience is really leaving having learned something is incredible to me. And so the upfront is just keeping going in the direction that we're going. To that end, though, I would love to expand our audience, and that's not just to fill bodies in a room, and fill more seats. It's because we really do have these amazing authors, and it was I was disappointed, at some of the numbers last year, where I knew I could think of groups even. Oh, this group, studying this would love to be here. So I would love to explore bringing some of these author events outside of the J campus, for example, to local universities, or another location where we know that there is a built-in audience, because I would love to create the opportunity for more to engage with these really amazing authors. And so I think that's probably my biggest ambition. I would love to land some funding and, get help in subsidizing the cost, of these programs, either a little bit or entirely, to make them free for all, because that's what we do at the J, right? We're here to, enrich lives, create community, create meaningful Jewish experiences, but for all. And so, for me, that takes the form in amplifying Jewish voices, empowering Jewish voices, and creating a, warm and inclusive environment for people to do that.
Yeah, what I really, really love about cultural arts at the J in general is I feel like there's an alignment in all of the things that we're offering. And some of those objectives are really the same. It's like we want to increase that audience size at the Jewish Film Festival. We want to increase attendance at the new Jewish theater. Youth theater's doing fine. Carly does an amazing job. It's overflowing all the time.
It's all themselves.
But it's, we really are trying to establish new relationships with younger generations. Mm-hmm. And it's, like you said, it's not just about, getting butts in seats, so to speak. Mm-hmm. It's because I think we all believe in the different areas that we are engaging with our community, the different mediums by which we are engaging with them, be it film, books, or theater. And so that's what I really like, is that I think that you and Rebecca and I and Carly, we kind of all have these same objectives.
Absolutely.
And really just want to see our community engage with what we're bringing to them so that they can be thriving. Because like you said, in the beginning, the humanities really kind of give you the heart and soul and, of what's happening in the human condition. The sciences do a great job of telling us, what's going on, but all that internal stuff that comes from, engaging with your imagination and engaging with the creative side. And so it's just such a worthy cause.
It is.
Yeah. I want more people to come to everything that we do, because I think we do some really good work.
And it's really important work, and it's good stuff that we all have, after us. I mean, the films are excellent, the plays are excellent, the actors, the books, the authors, it's all great. And so I would just love to engage more people in St. Louis. Yeah.
Well, Hannah, this has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to just leave with just one final question, and you don't need to elaborate too long, but I just want to ask you, so how are you holding up? Because you came here and just got thrown into your first big event. You arrived kind of like I did, just a couple months before the big event, and then you've been turned around. You brought your family here. You're a wife. You're a mother. How do you balance it?
So I do my best with whatever situation I'm in. So when I'm at work, I'm at work, and I am engaged with chasing after publicists, or some of the more glamorous things, or even the less glamorous things, the administrative stuff. And then I also once again, I didn't really engage very much with the St. Louis Jewish community when I moved here back in 2016. And so my children have been coming with me to a lot of the other family events, and we do a lot of things at the J. And so
that's great.
There's also a really nice bridge that has been built, and they're kind of starting to grow up at the J as well. They did the spring break camp, for example, this week at the J. So I would say bridging the two where I can, and then also just trying to do my best in the moment, whether I'm at home making dinner, trying some new recipe, or I'm at work, buried in emails. So, but I'm holding up great, and I really, really enjoy what I do, and I think it's very important what I do too.
I would agree with that. Hannah, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It's just an absolute pleasure talking to you. All right. Well, this has been Hannah Dinkel. She is the Director of Literary Arts at the J, in charge of all things Jewish Book Festival related. Everyone here at Cultural Arts is always working hard to bring excellent content to our community, and we hope that you will look for those opportunities to engage with the things that we're putting out there. So keep watching your calendars, visit the websites, look us up on social media. If you happen to be watching this on social media, I just want to encourage you to like, comment, share, help us get the word out about all the different things that are happening in cultural arts at the J. But until then, until next time, I want you to read a book, see a film, go to a play, and we'll see you at the J.